Oklahoma upsets the Alabama Crimson Tide on the road with defense, special teams, fundamental soundness, and coaching genius. Oklahoma getting that pick six and forcing Ty Simpson to check it down to Jeremy Bernard and being able to make all of their field goals, including a 55-yarder by Tate Sandell, who's a stud, and punking Alabama in their own home, incurring Alabama's first loss in Bryant-Denny Stadium since 2023 against Texas, is it's incredible. That's a big win and a program win for Brent Venables, who I am assuming after this game have punched their ticket to the college football playoff. With how they play, wins over Missouri and LSU are not guaranteed, but this win is huge. You've won 8 games. There's a very realistic path now to win 10, and this was your toughest test, I would say, of the entire season outside of maybe that Texas game given Mateer's health concerns. And you won. Venables has grown so much as a coach since day one to year 4. I mean, the growth has been absolutely paramount, obvious. Kalen DeBoer is one of the best game managers in America. I know people might mock that after this game, but seriously, Kalen DeBoer, we've seen it at Washington, we've seen it at Alabama against Georgia especially, and in that like 5 or 6 game gauntlet when they played Georgia at first and then finished with South Carolina in between their byes. They are a efficient staff that is able to scheme their players and put them in the best possible position to win. And in this game, it didn't matter. Ty Simpson had a bad game. It was a bad game to have a bad game against this defense. He threw a pick six that honestly swung the game by probably 14 points because Alabama was able to get some explosives. They were able to get touchdown drives. And that play, along with Alabama missing their field goal and Oklahoma being 3 of 3 on field goals, essentially won them the game. And then also that fumble that spotted Mateer a long touchdown run that honestly, if not for some of his health struggles and struggles overall, that would have been a Heisman moment from him. Winning this game with 212 total yards to Alabama's 406, nearly getting doubled up in yardage. Alabama having over 300 passing yards. Alabama actually running the ball better once you factor in sacks than Oklahoma. Alabama is the better team in power ratings, but Oklahoma was the better coached team and the more fundamentally sound team. And they did what they had to win. And they stayed in there. They hung in there. That's what the good teams do. They go on the road. They earn these wins by hook or by crook. And that is what Oklahoma did against the Crimson Tide. Let me read you some numbers in this game. This is a very interesting numbers game because of all the yardage disparities. And the fact that Alabama entering this game was wildly favored to win by the power ratings. So both defenses played phenomenally well. Let's get that out of the way. Alabama's defense held Oklahoma to negative 0.32 EPA per play. Oklahoma had a 31% success rate. They averaged 4.62 yards per play. They only had a 4% explosive play rate. They had a 21% success rate on third down. Both teams did a really good job stuffing the run. Alabama had a 21% havoc rate, which is the 92nd percentile. If Alabama is able to fix that passing attack and improve on the ground game, their defense showed it can win a title. But those are big ifs. I mean, we're in game 10 and Alabama can't run the ball against a good team. There's another school like this, except they have more talent and they don't have 2 losses. They're undefeated. You know who I'm referencing. But those teams are some of the only exceptions to the rule in America where rushing offense, sketchy, but you're so good everywhere else that you can compensate for that. Ohio State is still those things. I don't know if Alabama is after this game, where Simpson has just not been the same quarterback that he was earlier in the year. He's not as accurate. His poise is breaking down, and Oklahoma was able to really take advantage of that in a big way today, or yesterday. I'm still used to it being Saturday. That was such a good day of football. A lot of exciting games, a lot of close games, a lot of near upsets This was the upset. This was the chaos that struck college football yesterday. And again, what a massive win for Brent Venables. I cannot overstate how big of a win that is. This was preseason going to be one of the toughest schedules in America. And it still is one of the tougher schedules in America. You look at ESPN's FPI and their strength of schedule metric. Guess who is in the top 10? Oklahoma. They're at 10th. The only teams ahead of them are Wisconsin at 1, which makes sense. That's something we called preseason, that they would have the toughest schedule by a good margin, and they do. Then you got Florida, South Carolina, Alabama, Auburn, Texas, LSU, UCLA, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. There is some debate there, and Oklahoma's remaining strength of schedule is tougher than a lot of these teams' remaining strength of schedule, because Missouri and LSU are, at least in terms of roster, top 30, top 25 caliber teams. South Carolina doesn't face another team like that. This channel will make you a college football expert and help you enjoy watching games and make more accurate predictions. So what are you waiting for? Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment your thoughts, and watch the video all the way through so that you can get the full package. And check the description and pinned comment for more ways to help yourself and this channel. Florida doesn't face another team like that outside of Tennessee. LSU doesn't really face another team like that outside of Oklahoma, but they don't face two. And Wisconsin doesn't face another team like that, just period. So, with the Sooners being 7th in game control and 15th in average in-game win probability, and with Venables, his best prior season was 10-3 in 2023, with a strength of schedule that was far easier than it was this year. Last year, a lot of people wondered if he would be fired, myself included. And then they made some impressive roster moves. I was impressed by them. I thought they would at least get to, I think 8-4 was my prediction, maybe 9-3 preseason. And it looks like they're going to go at least 9-3, if not 10-2. They're probably in the college football playoff at this point. They're probably in that. And they're 8th in the coaches poll. They're going to be top 10 in the AP polls. They were for much of the year. They're going to be top 10 in the CFP poll. What a good job by Venables and that staff, by John Mateer, by Michael Fasusi for being a true freshman on that offensive line and playing well, by Isaiah Satenya for that punt return, for being a good receiver, and for Kip Lewis, for Eli Bowen, for Peyton Bowen, for David Stone, for R. Mason Thomas, for that entire defense that has played well and honestly played lights out for much of the season. What a job by them. Looking at Alabama's schedule here, they are not a lock for the playoffs. Eastern Illinois is going to be a win. For sure, you get to 9-2. Then you have to play Auburn on the road to get to the playoffs. What does Auburn have? A stout defense, a mobile QB, and their offense is beginning to hum because Hugh Freeze was clearly holding it back. And here's what I will say. DJ Durkin wants that job. And if DJ Durkin is able to beat Alabama and galvanize that team, he might just have the job. I mean, they have to play, they'll beat Mercer, and if they beat Alabama, he will be 2-1 with a win over Alabama and a close road loss to a Vanderbilt team that, honestly, I think will probably finish 10-2. So, that's impressive. And I just think that if you're Alabama, you're in a tough pickle with this loss. With it being at home and with how Oklahoma played, if you played this game again, Alabama would be favored, and they probably would be favored by more than 6.5, but you lost, and that matters. You're no longer a shoo-in. With the loss to Florida State, which is a bad loss, and a loss to Oklahoma at home, you've got to win out to be in the playoffs. And with how that rivalry game is, that is far from a guarantee. They have to clean up the rushing attack. More importantly, they got to clean up Ty Simpson and whatever's going on with him. Simpson had 326 total yards. He threw his first interception in several games since the Vanderbilt game, and it was returned for 6. He had his lowest QBR of the season outside of the Florida State game. He's just been regressing week over week over week ever since that South Carolina game. He just has not been the same. And I don't know exactly what it is. The offensive line, I don't think, is as good in pass protection as many expected preseason. It's not as good overall. The difference between a team like Alabama and a team like Ohio State is that Ohio State has a better pass blocking offensive line. Their quarterback is better in the pocket. They have better receivers. And they have more freak athletes on defense, especially on the defensive front. So they can compensate for their rushing attack, which after yesterday might be better than yours if you're Alabama, than you can. And you don't have their weapons. So that's the difference there. And they're 10-0 and the favorites to win it all. You're not. So they have some things to clean up. And I thought they could have been maybe the exception to the rule at some point this year with how good they looked in that like 5-game stretch from, Georgia to South Carolina, and how good they looked in 4 of those 5 games. Now I'm beginning to doubt that. And I wonder if they can win it all. It's really hard to win it all with a rushing attack that can't be relied upon to win games. That's a really tough thing to do. Really, really tough thing to do. There are some teams that have done it, but those teams often had like apex players at almost every other position and barely compensated for it as is. So the Tide have a lot to work on. For Oklahoma, at 8-2, 4-2, you do need to win out to get a guaranteed spot in the playoffs, but your strength of schedule is going to help you, and home games against Missouri and LSU are going to be much easier for your team and for your staff than this road game against Alabama. Eli Bowen, what an interception return. And what a job by Oklahoma for getting 4 sacks, 5 TFLs, a pass defended, the interception for a touchdown, for forcing Simpson to only complete 60% of his throws. And that was such a good game. My faith in Venables is completely restored. Now, can Oklahoma win it all this year? If healthy, maybe. But I'm not going to go there yet. I do not think they're one of those top 8, 6, 7 teams that can win it all. They'd have to have a lot go right for them with how they play. But then again, Alabama's defense, outside of maybe Texas's, is the best they've played all year. That Alabama defense is getting better as the season goes on. That is a really good defense that will probably be a top 5 unit by the time the season's over. They should beat Missouri. They should beat LSU. I will tell you right now, I will be picking them to go to the college football playoff in my college football playoff prediction bracket that will be releasing tomorrow, Monday. I'm proud of Oklahoma. I made a tweet earlier this preseason where I said that I think Nebraska is going to be a better program, and that was ironic after how Oklahoma destroyed them in 2022. I've apologized for that. I was wrong there. Oklahoma's a really good program. I think they have a ways to go before they can get to winning a title. But they're at least going to be a team that is going to be feisty in the SEC and is going to make some noise, especially after what is a program-defining win for Brent Venables and his staff. Thank you for watching. It's my mission on College Football with Sam to make you the most informed, knowledgeable, and entertained fan as possible. We aren't perfect, but we hit the nail on the head more often than we hit our thumb with the hammer. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment, and if you're here, you've probably already watched the whole video. So thank you for doing those things.